Justin, Adam, to both of you, with finals out of the question for both teams, is there a battle for interest from the players in this game, and how do you generate something when there's not a huge amount on the line?
I'm not quite sure what you're trying to ask, but we've been out of contention for probably since around 11, 12. So we've been, and Longy will speak on behalf of Fremantle, but we've been chasing process really for the whole year, and we won't really change. So it's a big game for the club. I think it's almost a sellout, and Derby's always good to be part of, but nothing much changes for what we've been chasing the last 4 or 5 weeks in particular. We've seen a little bit of improvement, so we'll continue to do that.
Adam, you just said it's almost a sellout Saturday night under lights. For some of your younger guys, I know they're always learning, but how could a big game like this really teach them different things, how to handle a big game situation? Yeah,
both teams are young. I mean, Fremantle are younger than us, so our list profile, we've spoken about this a bit. We've got some veterans, and we've got some babies. So those young ones who've only really tasted senior football this year, they've been part of some big games at home. Our crowd's turned up, and show that appreciation as much as we can. But a big crowd like this, that's probably a step up. So it's as close to a final atmosphere as you can get. So that's the beauty of playing at West Coast, playing at this stadium, playing in this state. You get that opportunity to do that. And as much as there's no finals on the line or potential to make finals, that experience is something that's really hard to get without getting to finals. So we'll take that.
In the lead up to that, is it you that talks to some of those younger players, or do you lean on your leaders for that?
I haven't even mentioned it. So we're that process driven at the moment. The motivation piece and there's obviously some senior players retiring. I think that'll be a bit different story in a couple of weeks. But at the moment, we're trying to identify some improvement areas that we're going after, and it doesn't really mean we win. We love to though. So that's what we're chasing at the moment.
A good news this week with Bailey Williams getting off his suspension, but who backs him up in the ruck?
I have to wait and see. He might just ruck the whole game. So no, we'll have a few things in place, but did a really good job getting him off. We thought it was something worth challenging. So he played with a bit of an illness last week and got through the game well, and he's good to go this week. So probably the biggest challenge on the ground at the moment, really, with what's in front of him. So we'll work through that.
So just further to that, the challenge of taking on Jackson, not only as a ruckman, but at ground level, can you talk us through what that poses?
Yeah, it's something that Bailey's been carrying to a pretty good level. I mean, he's 23. He's probably going to end up a forward ruck, I think, down the track. So, matching it with the A-grade talent that comes across ruckman, probably none bigger at the moment than what's happened the last few weeks with Jackson's rise. So every stat you can look at, he's improved on. So that's going to be a big challenge for him. But he's sort of had that challenge all year.
And how much comes down to your midfielders as well? Because when the ball's at ground level, we've seen what Jackson's been.
Yeah, well, our stoppage work and scores from stoppages has been the biggest area that we've got to improve on. So I think our turnover game's holding up okay. But the scores from stoppages are the ones that we're getting beaten heavily in. So then that starts with our mids and our rucks, but it's also both ends of the ground. So that's what we're trying to get better at. And we confront a team that, they're really, in really good space, especially the last couple of weeks. So, it's going to be a pretty important battle.
Is that good or bad news, Simo?
I'm still getting over the F-bomb. just trying to compose myself. We're obviously with the opposition's important every week. We put work into it, but we're chasing different things. So TK often gets run with. They've done it before with other players, so sort of plan for both. But that's probably more the individual prep, the team and the collective. Tim gets run with most weeks, so we've got some things we try to work through to help him out. But we don't overdo it with opposition at the moment.
Adam, I know you said you're not concentrating on the opposition team, but Luke Ryan's been in good form in defence for them. Do you have to put in some work into ensuring he doesn't have his own way?
Maybe. I went and watched the game on the weekend, and the back six as a collective have been working pretty well for a long period of time. So you take out one, another one bobs up. So the intercept marking game, the support they do and the way they defend, it's sort of taking one out might not stop their system. So I'll have to keep an eye on it though, because he can do some damage. Intercept markers, when they get their own way, can have real dominance of a game. So I think we'll keep an eye on that.
You said last week in the press conference after the Bombers game, and I should have followed up at the time, you said you're coaching a little bit differently than you were before the Sydney game.
Yeah.
Without divulging into that, are you seeing better results by the way you're doing that?
No, it was the Sydney game. Thanks for bringing that up.
Sorry.
I think we were trying to play a certain way, and regardless of the situation, personnel, injuries, everything. It was just we play this way, and we don't really deviate because that's where we want to be. And we clearly had to adapt after that game in terms of the strategy of how to maintain the scoreboard to a certain degree. So we've probably coached a bit more on the back of what happens in a game, which inadvertently has made us more competitive, and I think we've grown in some areas. So, but the development of our lists and of our style of play, that's ongoing. And we didn't really interfere on game day to the point where we're trying to manage the scoreboard. But since then, we've done a few things different, and we've probably developed some better resilience through that. But I wouldn't be putting any credit towards coaching. It's just the players have got a few different levers to pull.
But is the goal maybe long term to get back to that style?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, absolutely. So the last few weeks has been, really good learning experiences for us. It's disappointing that the games have been blown out so much throughout the year that it's to be within a win within reach in the second half. Unfortunately, it's been rare. So the last 3 or 4 games, we've been able to do that, and you saw what happened on the weekend, and then the North game having to hold on to that win as well. So they're all part of the growth that eventually we want to get back to sooner rather than later.
Adam, Jermaine Jones back from that ankle.
Yeah.
How pleased are you to have him back in the team, and what does he bring?
Yeah, we tossed that up. I mean, he's missed 10 weeks, so we've held him back for a week or two and trained him up. So he'll be a bit unders, but he's running around like an idiot for training. So we had no choice. He's got that. He's our high-end speed, repeat speed player that produces really good numbers. So we'll probably manage him throughout the game. And taper our expectations.
One for both of you. They're going to play the Matildas game on the big screens here before the game. I guess, what are your thoughts on, football codes are normally at war with each other, but, the fact that, it's all kind of coming together.
Well, yeah, can you get to the ground early and watch it, can you?
Yep.
Oh, wow. I might get to the ground early myself. What time does it start?
3 o'clock.
3. What time's our game start? 6.
6.
Plenty of time.
Yeah, well, we'll be around. So, that's great. Well, hopefully it'll be a full house before the main game starts. So that's a great idea. Whoever come up with that. I'm sure it was someone at West Coast. It wasn't Stocksy though.
Sino, can I ask about Gaffey? Since making him the sub, it seems like he's found some really good form. Were you always confident that he was going to get back to some decent form and the Andrew Gaff that we know?
Yeah, he just works too hard not to succeed. So I think when you hit a form slump and you're in your I think he's in his 30s, the first thing you think is the game gone past me. And no doubt he was thinking that. And, you try not to listen to the criticism, but his personal pride, was wavering as well. So putting him as a sub, and we could have dropped him, but that sort of ignited it a little bit. And then it sort of coincided with just changing a little bit of what we do. Has allowed him to get into the game a bit more. So, yeah, he spent a good 4 or 5 months getting over an ankle injury, and he got really fit, really fit, back to his best. But the game has moved on a little bit. So now the next phase for him is to be really good in those running capacities, but also in the contest and repeat speed and all those things. So he's got the capability, so I'm not surprised he's working his way back.
You could have dropped him, as you mentioned, but do you think that could have been a bit soul-destroying by doing that, as opposed to the sub, and he was still part of the team?
I just asked him, what did he want? So, other than play in the scenes. And he said, no, we'll take the sub, and we backed him in, and he's back to pretty good form.
And Simo, you mentioned a bit earlier a couple of club greats retiring, and I guess a lot of the attention now has shifted to Nick Nat and what he's going to do.
Okay.
And Nizzy was on the radio the other day just saying we'll leave it in his court, effectively.
That's what we'll do.
Yeah. Have you had many chats with him and how's it going?
No, he's a bit different than the other boys. So he's contracted significant injury. So I'm sure he'll weigh up and make his own decision when the time's right.
Did you expect that more like months and months down the track when he knows how his body's going rather than...
You're just leading me into saying something. No, I don't know. I haven't tapped into that. So these things, he's still on boot. So, you know, it wouldn't surprise me if he did wait a few months to see how it comes up, or, you know, he'll work through it over the next couple of weeks. So that'll be up to him.
Adam, how important is it to finish these last 3 games strongly, especially on the back of what's been a couple of good performances against North and the Bombers?
Yeah, we'd like to. Yeah, but you know, we're still not where we want to be, and you know, some of our guys are just hanging on, to be honest, and especially the two older guys. So this week's a big game for the club and for our boys. Next week we travel and play the Bulldogs away, and then we've got Adelaide here at home as well. So we'll just play our best. That's all we can do.
You two have a history together, having coached together. Have you felt empathy for each other this year? Your struggles, have you spoken
He
with
hasn't
each other?
texted me at all.
He hasn't spoken yet.
You know, so,
He's wiped you. Has there been any chat between the two of you throughout the year about the seasons?
I think, you know, all the coaching fraternity has care. It doesn't mean you've got to express it in a phone call or a text. So it's hard to describe what you go through sometimes. So only 18 people know. So I think there's more just a look of hang in there, mate, or feeling for you. So that's, but it's a job that we choose to have. So it's not, we're not complaining. No, I'm not. I'm sure.
Adam, actually, Sam gets his medal today. Just what's your reflection on that?
I don't know much about that story. I got told briefly what happened, but what I heard is the way it happened, and it's fantastic. He gets it. Does he get that tomorrow? Does he, or today?
I think it's the lunch.
It's the lunch today. Fantastic. It's good for him.